Howdy, K-Pacha and friends. My name's Mark Alma Umbra Cortman, and this video is so we can get to know each other a little bit, and I can share my excitement about the possibility of going on the traveling K-Pacha Healing Festival. This is the first video I've ever made, and finally got things working. So number one, when I somehow clicked on the link to see the Healing Festival, which I was pretty guided to do, I felt a quickening in my spirit, and in a way that felt like, wow, this is something that really feels like I might be going on this thing. And that's how I live my life. I'm sure you do too, from the inside out. And so that's the number one thing I wanted to talk about. Number two is that I'll tell you a little bit about myself. For the last 7 years, I've been living in an intentional community named Hummingbird in northern New Mexico. And about 7 months ago, I had a reading by an astrologer. Just started really being called to study and find out more about astrology. And this woman's name is Marilyn Dumont, and highly recommend her. That's kind of funny to be saying, but because K-Pachas, who I follow on the forecast and love that. But anyway, she said that, you know, I don't know what's going on with you and your community, but I can tell you by your chart, and also she's a spirit reader, that pretty soon it's going to be time for you to let go of the old and to be a brave new world and do what you're really here for, which I've been doing. But anyway, long story short, I've relinquished my stewardship of Hummingbird and am really just following what I'm here for. And one precedence that I have for wanting to go on this trip, my excitement that I can tell you about, was what I call the Summer of Love. It was 3 summers ago and at Hummingbird, and there was this conference that we were having. It's an educational program, and I don't know if you've heard of or know about the Pachamama Alliance, which is a collaboration between the Ashwar people from South America and people of the North, where they got through their dreams that they needed to help change the dream of the North to a more sustainable, loving the earth kind of existence. And so out of that, at Hummingbird, we had the Pachamama Alliance for Youth. And so throughout the summer, there was between 17 and 30 epic young ones here, the bright-eyed, bushy-tailed new kids, and which were one also. But what I loved about it was that we came together. I helped them with one of the things that I find interesting in this life, and that's how people get along. So how do we govern ourselves? And so anyway, they chose a system of governing themselves, and we had this bulletin board. And on the bulletin board every day we'd have like 3 o'clock constellation, and 5 o'clock naked yoga, and 7 o'clock party dance, and The next day we'd have a new set of things. We'd have scary honesty circles or nonviolent communication circle. And what I loved was they were so willing to play. And I'm 58 years old, and but I seem to have this desire. I don't feel old, and I like to play and engage with people, and sometimes the elders are a little harder to get to play. During that time, we did some epic constellations, and I know Kay Pacha, that's something you're interested in. I want to mention two of the epic constellations I did that summer. One was for a young woman from the South, and I happen to be from the South. She was from Virginia, and her name was Lee, and all our relatives were Lees, and they were their ancestor was Robert E. Lee. So, she was really here to heal something, and I could tell that, and Spirit was talking to me about that. So anyway, we had the representatives. I had somebody representing Robert E. Lee, and I had people representing the victims of the Civil War, and somebody representing the North and the South, and the victims, and I don't remember what all exactly. One thing, I had her representing herself, and there was a group of women that were in the constellation, and they were very adamant, and they were kind of hard on the men, but they were just like laser, and they were saying, you need to do it differently this time. And I want to mention something that's important to how I do constellation work, and that is I do it blind. Meaning, I don't tell people in the room, the representatives, who they're representing for. Me and the client know what we're working on and who the players are, unless I bring somebody in. But nobody else does. But it's amazing how people authentically feel the energy of the constellation and act these parts out. So the women were adamantly saying and directing a lot of energy toward Robert E. Lee, and who was the representative playing Robert E. Lee. And they said, you need to do it different this time. And the men said, they just stood in their power. It was a beautiful thing to say. See, witness, and they said, we're here to do it different this time. And I looked into the representative for Robert E. Lee, and I was looking into the soul of Robert E. Lee, and he was saying, there was nothing about him that was making excuses or apologizing. It was that there was such a dignity about him, but he was here to do it differently. So by the end of the constellation, the men and women were really together, and it was really clear that something big had healed, and that we were going to move forward and do it differently than the craziness of the Civil War. I was going to go into another one that happened and had Auschwitz, but I'm not going to because it's a little long. So I feel very confident in being a facilitator. And here's the thing. It's really takes a certain amount of humbleness to be able to follow the spiritual field and the knowing field. And Kay Pacha knows what I'm talking about. Because every constellation there's something new. And but I haven't ever done one that wasn't successful in terms of movement, soul movement, and growth. I owned a natural food store for 19 years, actually 2, in Baton Rouge, Louisiana, Living Foods 1 and 2. And I'm mentioning that because I have a lot of knowledge in the health realm and do counsel people. And also I found this amazing herb, and I rarely am impressed with an herb or anything like that. Because I don't think Creator likes to put things in a pill form that, usually it'll work for a while and shift. But I've been working with this herb for 6 months. It's called moringa, and it has like 4 times the vitamin C of oranges, all the amino acids, more potassium than bananas, fixes your serotonin, and it's just makes you feel good. It's like better than coffee in a lot of ways, even though I'm not, coffee can be great too. So anyway, it could be something. I found a really good distributor for organic moringa, and I can get it at a good price, and we could sell it if other people got as turned on to it as I am. So let's see, I co-founded a charter school, one of the first ones in the United States. The Community School for Apprenticeship Learning, still going strong in Louisiana. I was the president of both the executive and the regular board, mainly assigned to the school board. I like that kind of political maneuvering, and it was a beautiful thing, still going strong. Would still be there if I hadn't had gotten that I was supposed to move. So, 2 last things that I want to talk about. One is I would love, and I hope y'all would too, to fundraise for this trip through a crowdsourcing or crowdfunding. Indiegogo comes to mind. I've had a little experience with it, but with the network that you have and the people on board, I think we could raise some good money, and I personally would be very helpful for me. And also, we could do a lot more service, I think, with that. And then the last thing that, I don't know if you know the Intentional Community Possibility Alliance in Missouri, but they dress like superheroes. They get on their bikes and they go across, for a ride somewhere across the country. And if they see, there's a broken down car, they need to change a flat, they go, can we help? Can we help? And so I think some service aspect would be really cool that we could offer to people along the way. So I want to bring this to a close, and many blessings. I look forward to hearing back from you, and God bless. God is blessed. Bye.